All right. Welcome to our show, ladies and gentlemen. We're back to Tuesday night football roundtable from the couch. I don't know. We'll get this all ironed out and have a specific day of the week at some point. I'm sorry we keep switching on you. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about today, but before we do, please notify, like, share, and subscribe for all our latest content. We're getting a lot more traction on the Facebook page, and please keep it up. So tonight we're going to start off. I got David and Eric. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing well.
Can you guys believe it's week 7 already? We're at week 8 in college football? Flying right by.
Yeah, man. This is nuts. Football season goes by like in a blink of an eye. And then the 6 months in between is painful. Okay, let's jump right into the news of the week. Aiden Hutchinson. That injury was gruesome during the Cowboys game. Does this affect Detroit's chances of going further into the playoff, or will they overcome it? Any thoughts on that, David?
I think they overcome it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Aiden Hutchinson is a huge. I mean, be honest with you, Aiden Hutchinson was probably the top choice, at least at this point in the season, for Defensive Player of the Year, just from what he's done. So it's definitely hard to replace somebody like that. The fact that the Jets have put Hassan Reddick, or have allowed Hassan Reddick to seek a trade, I think that bodes well for Detroit if they're looking to bolster their defense. And it gives them a place that if he needs to land somewhere, that would be a logical landing spot. But again, the loss of a guy like Hutchinson is huge, no doubt about it. In the NFC, I don't know if it necessarily derails Detroit. Might make it a little harder, but I think from an all-around standpoint, I think Detroit's built themselves a good team. So I think that they do have the players to overcome that, but it will be a little tougher, obviously, when you use a player of that caliber.
All right, Eric, any thoughts on it?
I do think it hurts them in critical moments, not having your best player. I don't know if it's a TJ Watt effect, but it's going to be a TJ Watt effect in close games in critical moments because he's their best pass rusher. And you don't lose a player of that caliber and replace them. Can they still be competitive? Can they still make the playoffs? Absolutely. I don't know if they're going to be – that does take some vigor out of, hey, it's 3rd and 11 and the game's on the line. I don't know if without having him there, I think that hurts. And so we'll see what happens. Minnesota's good this year. The whole division's good. So not having him might cost them a game or two, which might cost them home field, which might cost them any chance of getting there.
All righty. Well, KD just jumped on there. Hey, KD, how you doing, buddy?
What up?
Much. We were just talking about the Aiden Hutchinson injury. You got any thoughts on that? Is it going to derail Detroit from going as far as they did last year or further this year?
No, because I would imagine that they're on the phone with Hassan Reddick's new agent and possibly trying to shake something out with him, or either talking with the Browns if the Browns are really having a fire sale. One of their defensive ends could be up in the next line of trades. So,
all righty.
Yep.
Next I was going to talk about the clown show that is Hassan Reddick, and I wrote this on Monday. So many other things have happened. His agent said, I'm not dealing with you anymore. He got a new agency, and the Jets said, "Yeah, you want to seek a trade? Seek a trade." The only place I could really see him going logically at this point would be Detroit, but are they going to give him that long-term contract? That's the big question. That's what he wants. Who's going to give a 29-year-old defensive end who hasn't played, who is held out? He's a problem. So is anyone gonna go ahead and take this? I mean, he's got to play starting week 8, or else he's losing a ton of money. I'll take the draft pick for him. The Jets, because the Jets will get a draft pick, but this is ridiculous. David.
I don't know. Like I said, I think Detroit is illogical, even if it's for 1 year, just for this half year where he can go out and test free agency again. I don't know if at this point anybody's going to pony up and give him a long-term contract because, again, most teams are set. I could look at a team like, hey, Carolina traded Brian Burns to the Giants in the offseason. That's a team that could use an edge rusher. Does Hassan Reddick want to go play for Carolina and get the long-term money? Maybe, I don't know. But, if I'm looking at it today, Detroit from a half-season rental makes the most logical sense. I think if he's trying to get a long-term contract at this point, I think that flew out the window a long time ago. So, again, I would have to get more in the mind of Rosenhaus and Hassan Reddick to find out what it is they're really looking for, but I just don't see it materializing, at least at this point in the season.
The other thing about that, too, though, is I don't know if he really wants to stick it to Philly. Because if he gets traded to an NFC team, Philly gets a second-round pick instead of third-round pick. So I don't know if does he still have some disdain towards Philly, or he's like, hey, okay, look, I am where I am. I don't care nothing about Philly, but if he still wants to stick it to Philly, then now we're talking limiting himself to AFC deals first and foremost. I don't know if he wants to do that, though. It doesn't seem smart if you're just going to limit yourself to one conference, especially if you look around in the conference. Nobody's really, outside of maybe the Bengals, but then I don't see them signing him long-term either.
Well, again, KD, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if the Jets trade him to an NFC team, the Jets have to give up a second-round pick to Philly. So it's not the team that is acquiring him. First of all, the Jets would have to get adequate compensation to make sure that they can compensate Philly. Otherwise, the Jets gave up a third-round pick and a second-round pick for a player that they don't have. They gave up DAVANTE and a second. So it's also going to depend on the compensation of what somebody's going to give the Jets back. Too, that's going to complicate that based on the DAVANTE Adams trade. So
right.
Eric, do you have any thoughts, or you want to move on?
We can move on. I'm with everybody else on it.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about the first trade this morning. After the loss, we're going to talk about the games later. So just structure yourself just to talk about this subject. But the first one was DAVANTE Adams to the Jets for a conditional third-round pick if the Jets make the championship game or the Super Bowl, or he becomes an All-Pro this year. They would have to give up a second-round pick. I don't see either of those happening. Eric, start with you. What are your feelings about this trade?
So I'm reading about him, and it looks like Ulbrich says that they just got him in, and they're assessing right now his availability. So I think here's the thing: the AFC is kind of weak this year. So you've got a couple teams in the North that have winning records. You've got the East with Buffalo at 4-2. You've got the West in Kansas City, and that's. Am I missing anybody? I mean, that's about it.
Well, I can't see
the
AFC is
the South is the Texans. So if you got a couple wild card teams, you could get on a run, and he can make an impact. He has familiarity with the Jets, but if we're just talking about the trade in general, not what's going on in New York, beyond that, I think he can make a positive impact. He's a positive receiver that Rodgers likes. One of one of his guys. So I like the trade because Rodgers gets another one of his guys. But we'll talk New York later, and I'll just leave it at that.
KD.
I don't like it. You're basically letting one person run the entire franchise. Look, if they would have did this with everything still being intact, all the coaching people and so forth, I would have no issue with that. Because what you do lose, that's the other thing that people don't remember, right? You got to have continuity. If you're talking about trying to get to a AFC championship or a Super Bowl, we can't be finding out, hey, does your coach adjust well? Does he handle you when you're frustrated well? Because all we know, all intents and purposes, hey, they can have a shouting match when adversity strikes in the middle of the field. Or in the middle of a game. So again, I don't like it. I think you should have rode your horses that you came in on, and you still could have made that trade. It didn't take you going whatever your record is, 1-5 or something like that, or 2-4. It didn't take you going 2-4 for you to realize, hey, okay, Davante Adams was an option for us. All four of us on this panel knew that was a particular opportunity before the season even began. As soon as they acquired Aaron Rodgers a year and a half ago, we already knew, hey, okay, this is a possibility for him to be reunited with Davante Adams and such other Green Bay wide receivers.
David.
Yeah, and again, I think the one thing that, to Eric's point is, and to Katie's point, more so Katie's point, Aaron Rodgers runs the show. And unfortunately, in the NFL, you can't – I don't care how good of a quarterback you are. Tom Brady, the best quarterback in the league. At the end of the day, Bill Belichick ran that show. I mean, that was Bill Belichick's team, regardless of the greatness of Tom Brady or not. Everybody knew who ran the show. In New York, it is a clown show, unfortunately. And the fact is, 3 weeks ago when Davante Adams came out and said he wanted to be traded, the Jets waited 3 weeks too long to make that trade. They were more concerned about pinning the blame on their season so far on Robert Saleh that they lost focus of the fact that the fact is they waited too long. They're 3 games out of first place, and Davante Adams does not make those 3 games up regardless. They were slow on the trigger. If they wanted him, they should have pulled the trigger 3 weeks ago when he first became available. Period.
All right. All right. That's everyone but me, right?
You go, Sean.
Okay. I know you guys keep saying Aaron Rodgers runs the show. Aaron Rodgers runs the show. Maybe he does. But let's face it. There's something in the DNA of the New York Jets that is just wrong. It just doesn't stop. And quite honestly, between the general managers and the coaches and everything, they've had such a dumpster fire for the last 10 years. Why the hell not listen to Aaron? That's all I have to say. It is what it is. I don't have to like it. I don't have to love it. But, I just want to win some games. And we were talking earlier before the show about the Mike Williams thing, and we'll talk about that a little later. So actually, I'll hold off. The next one we're going to talk about, David, I'm going to have you go first because this is for your team. Amari Cooper has been traded from Cleveland, who at this point seems to have given up all hopes on anything. And so Amari Cooper to the Bills. And I did not read the compensation.
Yeah, the Bills gave up a 3rd-round pick next year, or 25, and a 7th-round pick, and they received back Cooper and a 6th-round pick in 26. So basically, they gave up a 3rd-round pick and they swap positions in 26. I like the trade. I like the trade for a few reasons. Number one, I think what they'll do is they'll send Cooper to the outside where he belongs. They'll put Shakir on the outside, and they'll play Keon Coleman more in the slot, which will allow him to go up against nickel corners and linebackers and be able to exploit his size inside, which I think will help him develop. Do I believe that he's going to pay immediate dividends. I think he'll pay immediate dividends in the way that he will take some pressure off some of the guys in terms of, is he going to have 12 catches a game? Is he going to have 200 yards? Is he going to do this? It's definitely going to take time for this team and Amari Cooper to gel. There's no familiarity other than the fact that Amari Cooper's receiver coach is the receiver coach of the Bills. When he was in Dallas, he was his receivers coach. But in the long run, I think it was a smart move. They obviously needed somebody to take the pressure off of Allen, to help him and help the receiving core. They did cut MBS as a result of getting Amari Cooper. So, Eric, there's one for you. But in seriousness, I think it will help, but I don't think it will pay, like Amari Cooper isn't coming into a situation that he's going to just light up the lamp. It's going to take some time for him to get adjusted, but I think in the long run, it does help the Buffalo Bills.
All right, Eric.
So Cooper at this stage will block, and he'll make your 5-yard outs. He'll run your arrow. He'll get you that 3rd and 3 that you need to get, that he can get, and you catch tough catches. But he's not going to be a game-breaking weapon at this stage of his career for Buffalo. He's not Davante Adams, and as quick as it happens, tells me to believe that they were looking at Davante Adams because it was very reactionary. So it was like, hey, we couldn't get Adams, so let's get Cooper. And it's fine. Like he'll give you 4 catches for 42 yards, but he's not going to be a big giant difference maker. Their difference maker needs to be Keon Coleman needs to develop, and Samuel needs to be a weapon, and it needs to be distributed evenly through the team. That's what their strength. That's what their play caller's strength too. Is making sure that everybody gets fed. So, I mean, it's great, but it's not. He's not much different than a Van Jefferson. He's going to do that role for you.
Jesus.
All right, KD.
I don't agree with him being Van Jefferson. Here's the reason why. You just described a receiver that's primarily going to do damage in the red zone. And I think that's why the Bills have brought him in, a receiver of that talent. So I think he's going to be a good addition for them. Again, I'm not asking him to go out and get 1,000 yards. I am asking him to be reliable from the 35-yard end to the goal, to where Josh Allen doesn't have to be Superman when you get past the 50-yard line. And I think he fits that mold very, very well, especially if they can keep their run game going, because he's good with play action as well. So, again, I like the matchup. Again, it's just going to be, I like the marrying of him and Allen. It doesn't matter about how long it's going to take to get him going. Because, again, if it takes him too long for get going, let's say it takes 6 weeks for it to get going, I don't know what the AFC East is going to look like if we're talking the resurgence of Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. So,
all right, but here's my thing with this trade. Amari Cooper reminds me a lot of Stephon Diggs. Just Amari Cooper was on the Raiders. Then he got traded to Cowboys, got traded to the Browns. Now he's traded to Buffalo. Now these are before your contracts are up, but he got signed to big contracts with all those teams. Stephon Diggs did too. And some players, we kind of talk about it from time to time, but are these players' problems? That's the only thing I could. I know he's going to help the Bills. He's going to play at a good level, but did you just inherit a new problem? Which is a question. So,
hey, I'd like to add in.
I got to reply.
Hold on, before you go, just before we finish the subject and Dave finishes his subject, make sure you tune in to Here We Go Brownies, and I'm sure you'll get filled in whenever the show is.
Ooh, with their luscious co-host.
So here I'm going to rebut a couple things that Eric said. First of all, to compare Amari Cooper to Van Jefferson is an insult. Okay, period. whether Amari Cooper was a problem or not, you never heard him voice it. You never heard him say it. You never heard him. You never see a blow up on the sideline. You never see any. Amari Cooper's a pro. If there's anything that's going on with Amari Cooper, it's handled internally. From all appearances, the fact that he was being talked about in trade conversations, you never heard him utter a word about whether he wanted to be traded, didn't want to be traded. The fact of the matter is Cleveland's a hot mess, and you can't trade the problem in Deshaun Watson because you'll be $200 million against the cap next year. So if you can't trade the problem and you're going nowhere and you're stuck with the problem, other people need to go. And it's just a matter of let's get draft picks because we can't sit on $200 million.
I think they cut Watson at the end of the year. They're going to take the $95 million cap hit.
It's dead cap is $200 million. They can't. He is stuck there until he goes.
They're going to
there's no way. There's no way.
He's 1-5 and he's awful. They won't go.
Yeah, but no team is going to take a $95 million plus cap hit.
No, they're just going to cut him and take the cap hit.
We can't. It'll be 200. If they cut him, it is $200 million direct hit to the cap because of that guarantee. It's not expanded. It's not per season. It is $200 million. You might as well go out and hire you might as well field the University of Toledo's college.
Hey, Eric, if they cut him, which position do all y'all want to play? Because we're gonna fucking play for the Browns.
I'm trying out.
Let's go.
But in the rebut thing, I will say this. Last year, Amari Cooper still had 78 catches for 1,200 yards. That's not Van Jefferson. That's better than George Pickens. Okay. So for you to say, for you to say that this guy's a Van Jefferson, yeah, he might not have 10 catches a game, 200 yards a game, 150 yards a game, but what he does is he methodically makes a difference in the game. He moves the chains. He does those things that have to be done. Yes, we'll get on to that next.
Yeah, that's next.
Like I said, I'm not expecting him to come in and change the world. I don't expect him to come in and change the world, but I do expect him to come in.
And maybe he's in the red zone. Maybe KD's right. By the way, if Watson's a post June 1st cap hit, $92 million. So he'll be a post June 1st cap hit.
Again, okay, my lord, you're not getting, even if the cap. Let's say Cleveland ends up with $240 million for the cap. No way a team is going to take almost half of that for one player, bud. Nobody's going to do that.
Well, here's what happens. No, Eric, you're right, because here's what happens. If it's $92 million next year, it'll be $92 million the year after. So basically what happens is if they cut Deshaun Watson, they lose almost 44% of their cap space on a dead player. And they have to go out and sign, and then somebody's going to sign Deshaun Watson for $1 million because Cleveland's going to be paying all of his salary. And they're still not going to be able to field a team because your 44% of your cap space is going to be tied up in a player who's not even on your roster.
I didn't realize I fielded a team this year.
Yeah, that right. Pretty much. And that's why those guys had to go. And that's why Amari Cooper went. I mean, it was what it was. So, okay, let's go to the next topic.
All right, next topic. This one isn't up for discussion. I'm just going to say it, then we're going to move on to the Cam Akers. But NFL did approve Tom Brady limited partnership with the Raiders. That was going to be a big thing with his TV contract, but it's not going to really affect anything. And, obviously if Aaron Rodgers corrects New York, then maybe Tom Brady can correct the Raiders. But anyway, so Cam Akers was traded from the Texans to the Vikings today. KD, let's start with you. What are your feelings on this one?
I like it. I was reading up on. I meant to put that in the chat before we got on here. If it's for the depth pieces that they were mentioning, and not because there's some lingering injuries to Jones, I like it because again, it's a good complimentary back to Jones himself. And if we're talking about Minnesota still being good throughout the season, why not set yourself up for a good playoff run? Because again, we know wear and tear is going to come and be a part of the equation at some point. So you got to have a second and probably even a third back to help take the load off of Aaron Jones. So,
Eric.
Yeah, I think. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I mean
Go
Dave.
ahead, Eric. Go ahead.
Dave wants to beat Eric a
No,
lot.
go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry.
I'm his admiration because of how often I'm able to debate these three guys all by myself, even when they all need to team up on me, like the Avengers. I'm the Thanos of this.
I don't team up on anybody. I'm just not gonna let you spew bull crap. Just not gonna let you do it.
And I just stay out of it. He's talking about Jeff in my spot.
But anyhow, so like, look, I like the Cam Akers signing because Minnesota's like, we could win. I mean, we could pull this off, and so I love it. You're only giving up a 6th-round pick for a guy who's probably going to come in and contribute out of the backfield. He doesn't have to be a guy that carries the ball 30 times, but he can catch it out of the backfield. He can do multi-purpose things. So I like where Minnesota's thinking. It's a low investment for a guy that could probably help you, and especially help you in the red zone. Out of all the signings today, I'm going to make a prediction for you. That one will have the biggest impact on his team.
Well, I disagree with that, but I do like it because here's the reality. Dameon Pierce came back for the Texans last week. They have Joe Mixon and Dara. I'm not even going to try to say his last name, so I'll leave that up to the professionals. I'm not a sportscaster, and I don't go to diction school, so I can't say Dara Boongolade or whatever. Anyway, they got him, and again with Akers, I think number one, he's familiar with Minnesota. He played there, obviously, but more importantly, it's going to take some pressure off of Aaron Jones when he's healthy. I mean, I don't know if he's going to be back this week or not. And to Packer's point, Ty Chandler did not look great when he was in that role. So it gives them the comfortability where they can periodically rest Jones and not have him carry so much of the load because, again, wear and tear throughout the season. And he did that throughout his time in Green Bay. It was him and Corey Dillon or A.J. Dillon, Corey Dillon. Oh, my God. 89. No, A.J. Dillon. So you have that back who can come in and give Aaron Jones a break and still not lose a lot of the 1-2 punch that you have. So I think it was a great trade. It will help Minnesota continue on the path that they've been on this season. So smart move.
All righty. Okay, so let's move into some games to discuss from the past week. Number one is definitely Lions versus Cowboys. Now, this was an ultimate blowout. They embarrassed Dallas, and I think they meant to. I think they were pissed off about last year with the bullshit, didn't report. I don't think they cared that it was Jerry's 82nd birthday, but they went in there and they laid the smack down. I mean, I can't remember a game being so lopsided besides the Miami-Denver game last year, but I don't think that was malice. This, in my opinion, was 100% Dan Campbell said, I am going to fuck these guys up, and I'm going to do it, and the whole world's going to see. Thoughts, David?
Well, yeah, you knew that was his motive. I mean, when he was trying to get every offensive lineman a touchdown at the end of the game, I mean, that was beautiful. And the fact that Dallas deserves it. I'm sorry. And outside of the game, which, again, it was a blowout, I got to say something. I think Jerry Jones is the most ignorant asshole owner walking the face of the earth to threaten somebody's job on TV, on a radio station, because he didn't like the question that the guy asked him and said he'd have him fired. Or that he would fire him because he didn't like asking a tough question and having to have Jerry Jones answer a tough question. It shows how thin-skinned this guy is. You live with your team, you make your decisions, you're the GM, you bring all these people in, you don't do shit to help your team. As far as I'm concerned, every bit of Dallas getting their asses whooped every single week is worth it to me. I'll be like Shannon Sharp and say, I hope they never win another game and they never win another playoff game as long as Jerry Jones owns that team.
Well, that ain't gonna be too long. So, anyway, Eric, your thoughts?
So, like, Detroit won, and that's great. Dallas will stay at least 9-8 because Dak will will them to games. He's not a bad quarterback, and he'll figure it out. But here's the thing: Detroit lost Hutchison, so I mean, the belt, the ass, all the stuff that Michael's saying, it's great, but like we talked about before the show, losing him in a critical moment in a tough division now with Minnesota, Green Bay, and Chicago, and not having your elite pass rusher, your difference maker, your guy that's going to go make the play on the quarterback when it has to happen. I don't know you can replace that unless you get a Hassan Riddick. But who knows what you're getting at that point with a guy that hasn't been playing football and hasn't been practicing. I cannot emphasize enough to you guys how important it is to be at practice and to be participating with your team, that you just don't show up and all of a sudden you are a difference maker. It doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. So I don't think you can find a guy that's going to replace what he was going to bring to you. He was your TJ Watt. He was going to be your guy that made a difference. So I think in that game, I think that loss is going to be a huge loss to them. They are still a playoff contender, but ultimately you watch in critical moments, it'll hurt their pass defense. And absolutely, they get Crosby, they'd be all right because that guy is a dude.
All righty, what the hell just happened here?
What?
Oh, something went. Oh, you beat me to it, David.
Oh, sorry.
By the way, this is the chat's coming from both of us. From the sports is from both David and I. We're both using the same account, which is cool. KD, what do you think of the ass whooping?
Oh, I loved every second of it. Here's what I think happened. I think Dan Campbell invited Jerry Jones over for a camping outing in one of his A&RBs, and he was like, "Look, don't pee in my bed." And I think Jerry peed in the bed, and he walked in and said, "All right, this is gonna hurt me more than it's gonna hurt you." And he commenced to whooping ass. So look, hey, for me. I, I'm happy. I'm happy that this took place. Here's the reason why. I'm about tired of the arrogant attitude coming from that franchise. You haven't done anything in any of our lifetime that's worth anything. Got it. You won your Super Bowls in the '90s or whatever, but you haven't done anything of relevancy to be one of the biggest brands in sports that you have. And the biggest reason why that is because of visibility. You pay for TV rights and so forth. That is it. It's not because of what you have achieved on the football field or even off of it. You're in disarray every week, whether it be offense, defense, or it's just operational stuff. And I'm just tired of it because, again, you have a huge following of these people that follow you. I don't know why they still follow you, but they follow you, and sometimes unconditionally when it comes down to, hey, look, my fandom goes above and beyond any of the stupidity that this guy puts out into the workspace. The comment, like Dave was talking about, the comment about the whole radio station, the host. Why did you even agree to the interview if you're going to put up your defensive mechanism? My whole thing is you have been doing these things with this particular person for quite some time, so you kind of knew, like, hey, okay, look, he's going to ask me some questions that may not be favorable, but he may ask me some ones that, hey, I may have to answer to, because again, hell, you're 100 million fans around the world want to know what's going on with some of the stuff that you're doing. And it's just not, for me, I would not want to be a fan of the Cowboys because of these type of things that he's doing. And oh yeah, by the way, you still have to sign Micah Parsons, which I don't think you're going to be able to do. So,
Hey, Sean, real quick, why Jerry Jones would do or agree to an interview and then say something stupid is because old people, you can ask Dave, old people do one thing and then they say another thing because they forget what they're talking about, right, Dave?
Well, shut up. Are you talking about me? Don't you talk about me? I don't. I know exactly what I'm talking about. I can debate myself and win. That's what I do, don't I? Is that what I do?
There's debate yourself and lose.
Sure.
But anyway,
John's older than me.
okay. So next game to talk about the Jags and Bears in London.
Why? Why are you?
I know it's
bringing that up?
why, but okay. So the Bears got 4 wins, and the teams they've beaten have a combined total of 4 wins. And again, the Bears are beating teams they should beat. But Caleb Williams is actually looking a lot better each week. He's progressing. We're going to see when he goes against the top-rated defense how he does. But that was a beatdown in London. I've been used to that too. I got the feeling 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I just want to say starting next week, for our first 15-minute segment, we're going to be talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars and New England Patriots in London. That'll be another barn burner. Everybody get up bright and early to watch that game.
Hey, if Drake May comes out and throws 5 TDs, there'd be something to talk about.
No, like I said,
if you don't want to discuss it, you could just
No, I agree with you, Sean. I do like the fact that Caleb Williams is starting to develop. Again, whether they're beat teams that have a combined record of 20-2 or whatever, the fact is that you got to develop your rookie, and he started out slow, and now he's coming on. And for a rookie quarterback, that's always a positive. It's positive for an organization. You drafted the guy first, and that's what you want to see out of your rookie. So I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I'm not going to talk about the game but from a quarterback standpoint and from a development standpoint, it's good that Caleb Williams is actually doing that. That's what you want to see out of your rookie, and it's good for the Bears.
Yeah. KD, thoughts?
Look, he's gonna have to show me more than what he's doing because again, those 1-win teams, it's easy to win those games against those teams. You should look like a superstar. We gotta see what he's gonna do against somebody that's actually gonna give him some kind of fits and whatnot. So,
all right, Eric.
Duval. No, how about how bad they are? There's some guys on the Longest Yard, one of the sites on Facebook that I follow, and Jacksonville fans are some of the most crap talking fans you could ever come across. And all I can tell you is that they are terrible. They are awful. They are disgusting. They are bad. I don't know how. Move the team overseas because obviously they like going over there so much. Move them overseas, sell the team. I mean, isn't that the stadium that's got like the pool where the kids can swim? I mean,
yeah.
That's the reason you go to a game at this point. You don't go to watch good football at this point because they are bad. So
Everybody in Florida owns a pool. Why the hell would you go to a stadium?
How cool is it to sit there and swim and hang out with your buddies if you're 10 years old and then get to watch football?
Everybody peeing in the pool. That's great. Especially
Right.
those drunks, man.
Right. Floating turds everywhere. It's like, yeah. I
See, the
want to
thing
go.
is, when you pee in the pool enough, they just put it in the Gatorade things and tell the players it's lemon lime Gatorade. And that's why they play like shit, because they're drinking piss.
On that note, moving on.
Okay, so let's go to the last game to discuss that happened this week. Is last night's game. The Jets and the Bills is tied the most penalized game of the season. Or I kind of thought it was ever at some point, but there were a lot of horrible, horrible calls. But we're not going to get into that. We're going to get into what the hell the game is. The Jets just cannot stop the run. They need C.J. Mosley back so badly. His backup is just not doing what he does. I'm hoping that toe is good for this Sunday night. But the Jets had sparks of greatness, and as a Jet fan, I have never seen a game in the last, I don't know, probably ever, where they didn't have any 3-and-outs. Like last season, the season before, every single drive was a 3-and-out, 3-and-out, 3-and-out. So it was a good game. The Bills definitely deserved to win. It was 23-20. It was not that close. The Hail Mary at the end of the half was amazing to watch. But, as KD said, I don't think Zerline went up the tunnel. I think he ran out of that stadium as fast as he could because they got to do something about that, missing 2 field goals, which totally killed you.
But look I'll tell you what, Sean, Tyler Bass ain't any better. So we got that. I mean, between him and Greg Zerline, one could go wide left, one could go wide right. They still wouldn't hit the middle. It was that bad. Like, I don't know what the hell that extra pointer was. I never saw a ball hook like sideways that way. I mean, it was just unbelievable.
I know what they were doing. You guys been in the classrooms, and they have those whiteboards, the electronic ones where you got to calibrate it. You got to put one to the left, one to the right, one to the bottom left, one to the bottom right, one in the middle, and then you got to just basically let it zero or calibrate itself. That's what they were doing last night. They didn't tell us.
I guess not, but I do want to know. And maybe it was the angle from the back, but I want to know how they called that extra point good. I mean, the Zerline's extra point after where it ended up, I don't know how that could have crossed over, but again, it was the backside. I couldn't tell. But anyway, this is what I'll say about this game. It was boring. The referees took it over. Neither one of these teams could get into any flow because there was so many damn penalties called. I mean, when Aaron Rodgers comes out and says, listen, that roughing the passer on me was no roughing the passer. The roughing the passer on Kinlaw was no roughing the passer. There were 2 pass interference calls, 1 on each team that shouldn't have been pass interference calls. The call on Mac Hollins, the ball was 8 yards out of bounds, and they called pass interference. The ball to Garrett Wilson was 4 feet over his head, and they called pass interference. And I think every NFL team playing Buffalo should incorporate the Hail Mary into their playbook because this team does not know how to defend a Hail Mary. It is your best successful chance to throw a long completion for a touchdown against this team. That being said, do I believe the Bills deserve to win this game? Not necessarily. I think the Jets played well enough that it came down to capitalizing in the red zone. Buffalo was 3 of 4 in the red zone. The Jets were 1 of 4. And I think that's where the difference was. There was some good plays made on both sides of the ball, Buffalo's offense and defense and the Jets' offense and defense. I think Garrett Wilson had a great game. He was a threat. Breece Hall, again, Buffalo's Achilles heel is stopping the run, and the Jets utilized that. Breece Hall had a monster game. Garrett Wilson was able to get off the ball, make some great plays. It was unfortunate for the Jets, fortunate for the Bills. And as I said, the Jets waited a week too long or so to make a trade for DAVANTE Adams because now, in the grand scheme of things, the Jets are 3 games back of Buffalo because they have the head-to-head Buffalo does right now, and they're 2 games back. So even if the Jets win 2 and the Bills lose 2, it's still basically 3 games because the Jets would still be in second place based on the tiebreaker. So that's what I mean by the 3 games. But again, like I said, that being said, I just wish the referees would get out of the way and let these players play. I think the game would have had a lot better of a flow, and I think maybe it might have benefited the Jets a little bit. But either way, I'll take the win as a Bills fan, but I wasn't happy with the officiating in it. I'm not complaining. I'm not blaming, but it happened to both teams, and it sucked for both teams.
All right, I'm going to go to KD before we get into the Fire Goodell bullshit. KD, your thoughts?
I just let them play football. Like that's all I want. Like I got it. If there's anything egregious, I would just like to see the game of football, especially when it's a division team, division rivals going at it, because like the disdain, the chippiness, all that stuff is going to be there. They, for the most part, they held it in check. But was it because they were worried about being flagged, or was it because they have mutual respect for one another? So I just want to see the game played at the highest level that what we think it should be. Because when you start taking away from that, people don't want to watch any games, including their own own teams, because you take away from it.
All right, Eric, rattle it off, buddy.
Well, I've been on this full-time officials thing for a long time, and to my credit, some weeks, some teams benefit, aka my team benefited this week from some bad calls. But most weeks, other times they're critical and they determine games. So like we got to get it right. It's just he doesn't care to get it right, and he's in charge, but somehow there's no accountability ever at the top because oh well, we just move on with our life and nothing ever happens. And so, I mean, that's where it just kind of drives me nuts that there is never any accountability. I preach accountability and to kids, I preach accountability to coworkers, I preach accountability to people who make a fraction of what these people make. But when these people are bad, we're supposed to just shrug our shoulders and just say, it's just the way it is. When's enough going to be enough? That's all I can say. Officiating needs to be black and white, and we need to take the human gray element out of it. The whole subjectivity, fuck subjectivity. That's the problem. Is you get bias in subjectivity. I don't like it, and I never will like it. And so let the players play, and if it's egregious, black or white, make the call. And if it's not black or white, and it's one of those gray area things, let the players determine the outcome of the games. As far as both teams are concerned, both teams are hitting the panic button by having to add a wide receiver after the game because they're that greatly concerned about it. So I mean that is something to, whoa, you both need to make a change here. I don't like the way I'm hitting the panic button when we get to the Jets room, and I will tell everybody now because I'm concerned about the response of the Jets after that game. There needs to be a leader, and the leader can't be one of the pack. It has to be somebody out leading the pack, meaning the coach needs to be accountable at this point. And maybe Ulbrich doesn't have the voice, but he needs to become the voice very quickly.
All right. Well, the quick answer to your question, Eric, when enough is going to be enough with Goodell is when his 32 bosses decide they don't want him anymore. He's making them so much money. That's all they care about. And thank you for the segue, because now
Remain calm. All is well. All is well.
all right. So now we are in panic time. So which NFL team should hit the panic button? Over the last couple of weeks, there's been teams in and out. Chicago is in, they got out. Some, we'll discuss this a little later, but have kind of passed that mark. But let's go with our number one team, the New Orleans Saints, with the loss of Derek Carr and Riddick coming in. I don't know. I think it's going to be in a couple of weeks before Carr comes back, but they are they're not looking great. Panic meter, David, where are you on the Saints?
I'm mildly concerned. I mean, you have Carr out. You lost Chris Olave. But I'll tell you what. I was impressed with Spencer Rattler last week. He made some really good plays, made some smart decisions for a fifth-round rookie quarterback. But again, when you're missing a Carr and now Olave's out with a concussion and they're playing Thursday and he won't make the game. I think they play Thursday. Did they play Thursday? I forget. But he's going to be out. He's in concussion protocol. So they do play Thursday, and they've already ruled him out because he won't pass the concussion protocol in time. So it has me mildly concerned, but I did like the play of Spencer Rattler. So from maybe this season, it might be a concern level, might be a little more, but for overall for the Saints, seeing what Spencer Rattler did, I'm not overly concerned about the Saints as a whole. Maybe for this season, depending on the severity of Carr and how long he's out, and Olave, how long he's out. But I like what I saw out of Spencer Rattler as a quarterback. So that's why I'm mildly concerned right now.
All right, Eric.
So as Tomlin always talks about, I'm not going to compare different seasons or worry about what's going to happen in 2025 until 2025 or 2026 until 2026 happens. So I'm going to paint a red barn red here and be red here because this season I'm greatly concerned. Here's the deal: they have Denver, Chargers, Carolina, Atlanta, and Cleveland. If they don't win 4 of those games, that's their season. They are done. If they don't beat Denver, the Chargers, Carolina, Atlanta, and Cleveland, they don't win 4 of those games, they're done. So this will be their season, and they're going to win 4 of those games. Probably 3 of those games, Rattler probably has to start. So it's got me at orange.
All right, KD.
I'm red. Here's the reason why. You got 2 teams in your division that are better than you and probably more healthier than you, and they're still trending upward with Atlanta and Tampa Bay. And I don't see you making a wild card as long as the NFC North teams are still winning as well. So I'm all the way red with the Saints right now.
All right. Yeah, I'm orange just because of the schedule coming up, but I do have to agree with Eric. Though, yeah, 4 of these, 6 games? 4 of these 6 they got to win. They got to rip off, and I just don't see it happening. All right, our next team up is Los Angeles Rams, who the only reason why they are in the panic room and not out of the panic room is purely because it is possible with their schedule that they could rip off a bunch of wins, and eventually they will get Cooper Kupp back, which is huge for them.
This week.
So, yeah, I am an orange, but I'm getting more and more red as time goes by. Eric, you're next.
What's the Rams' record right now? I'm sorry.
1-4.
1-4. Yeah, I'm red. They should be out of the room. Here's the deal. They've got a winnable game against Vegas. Minnesota probably beats them at this point. They got to go to Seattle. That's probably a loss. And then that'll be all they'll be cooked. 6 losses at that point. The odds of going 10-7 are really great. Not in their favor. So I think they're cooked.
KD?
Yeah, I'm saying they're cooked because they already had their bye. If they had a bye coming up, then I would be like, okay, maybe they can get right or get some of the nagging injuries addressed. Them not being able to get that done, I just don't see them rebounding. So I'm gonna put them in between orange or red.
All right, David.
Yeah, I'm at the out of the panic room and into the dumpster fire, and I don't mean it in a bad way. I just mean that 1-4, I think their season's over. I just mean it. I just mean it from not dumpster fire, but just in the dumpster. This team is not making the playoffs.
Not in a bad way, but they're in the dumpster. I mean,
well, they're in the dumpster, but it's not on fire. They're just in the dumpster this year. I think injuries hit them early. They lost Kupp and Nakua, and it's just something you can't really recover from because they traded Van Jefferson to the Steelers, which would have been their only saving grace. But unfortunately, he's playing in Pittsburgh, he's caught 3 passes. So again,
they were for touchdowns though.
but seriously, no, they're in the let's worry about next year. And again, the one thing you got to talk about with this team is it time to bring your developmental quarterback on and start getting them ready? Because I don't think Matthew Stafford has much left in the tank. So do you bring your Stetson Bennett in and let him see what he can do for next year? Because I don't know how much more Stafford can take. And if you're the Rams, I'm starting to get ready for 2025 at this point, and I got to see what I got to know what I got. So
here's an interesting storyline to Stafford, right? So which team loses a quarterback that he becomes available for a playoff push? And I mean, it could be a conversation in a few weeks.
It might.
Yeah. We'll have to see.
It will not. It will not.
I kind of agree with KD on that one. That's not going to be a thing.
We can't say the guy's dang near in the end of his tank and then suddenly he leaves and he's rejuvenated to go to another team. Like, how does that work?
Because his team stinks.
The end of the tank is the end of the tank, man. No matter where you are.
All right. Well, I just want to let you know I got syphilis, but not in a bad way. So anyway,
I'm in the dumpster, but this dumpster smell good.
The dumpster's
There you
just a dumpster, but it's not on fire yet. Oh, shut up.
But it has sanitary napkins in it.
Are you telling me I lost my own argument again?
Pretty much.
Damn it.
Okay, so now the Dallas Cowboys. Because they got a bye. And at San Francisco, at Atlanta, Philly, Houston, at Washington, and New York Giants. I think that David's going to – no, Katie's going to start answering this one.
Yeah, I'm all the way red with them. I'm thinking some of the defensive guys are starting to make business decisions, and they figure, hey, look, we're not doing anything of any significance. And oh yeah, by the way, I don't know if we can beat Washington, if Washington sustains what they've been sustaining. And then oh yeah, by the way, Philly is still out there too. So I don't think the Cowboys are looking upward right now and saying, hey, look, we actually can turn this season around and go be something. I just don't see how any of those players are coming to work day in and day out and motivating and wanting to turn it around with some of the adversity. And some of it's caused from inside the building, but I don't see how they continue on trying to go out and put their best foot forward, knowing that the public image of them is not very good.
All right. I actually am doubting. I don't know. Will Dallas have a winning record? I am in the red with them. I think this last week was a complete beatdown, and I think everyone in that locker room right now is just beside themselves, and they don't know what to do. David,
I'm in the top part of the orange because I think the bye week came at the right time for them after what happened in Detroit. I think coming out of the bye week, if they lose to San Fran in a bad way, then it's totally red. But I think their bye week came at a good time where maybe they have an opportunity as a team and as an organization to regroup. Sometimes buys can be a blessing in disguise, not for fans, but for a team, especially with what Dallas has been going through the last 3 weeks. So I'm not going to put them in the dark red yet, but they are in the orange, and hopefully they can turn something around. But however they come out of the bye will determine my total level of concern. So,
all right, Eric.
I love Dave. He's like, hopefully they can turn it around. You're not hoping Dallas turns it around. You're not a Dallas guy, are you?
I'm an analyst. I'm not being a fan. As a fan, I hope they never win another game. As an analyst for Dallas and the Cowboy fans, I'm saying, hopefully for them, they can turn it around because they are a talented team. I just haven't seen it.
So I'm going to
And
go.
the bye week coming at a good time is a good time for a team to regroup.
I'm going to go Stephen A on you and not Skip Bayless here. And I'm not going to deny who I am in order to be somebody else. I will be me. Today you are you, and that's truer than true. You will never be anyone you're than you. So I choose to be me. So you're done. You're cooked, and here's why. It's not just Dak is going to keep them competitive in games. San Fran, they might win. I mean, that's possible because Ayuk wasn't there all the time. The timing's off, and the offense stinks. So I mean, they could win that one. So it's Dr. Seuss actually. But Atlanta's going to be tough to go on the road and win. Philadelphia, for some reason, Dallas just has problems at home. So, but Philadelphia isn't a not winnable game. Houston probably beats them. There'll probably be more Houston fans in Dallas than Dallas. And then Washington they're good. And the Giants are competitive. And so none of those games are gimmies for them in the schedule. So the schedule has me red. But they're cooked. I like Dak. I think I would be honored to have Dak. I think he's a great quarterback. But beyond Dak, I don't think the rest of the team has the will to win like Dak does.
All right. So our next team, the Tennessee Titans, which is another one that is in here, but I think we're moving them out fairly soon.
Yeah.
So they go to Buffalo, then they go to Detroit. They have New England at home, go to the Chargers, Minnesota at home, at Houston, at Washington. David,
The only game that's winnable in that is New England. In just honesty, Will Levis makes bad decisions. I think they'd be better served with Mason Rudolph as their quarterback. Nod to Eric. I agree with you in that aspect. I think Will Levis is. I just don't think he's ready. But again, I also think he's shouldering a lot more than he needs to. They do have a decent running game. But if you look at the victories that Tennessee has had and the teams that they've played, it's not a who's who of, powerhouses in the NFL. You're talking about Carolina. You're talking about those type of teams. And so it's hard to get a true assessment. And I think this next stretch of games is really going to prove exactly what they aren't. And that's a contending team. So I'm red, and I'm ready to put them in the trash heap along with the other team I put there before. But the dumpster's not on fire yet.
all right, Eric.
So here's the deal. Mason could come in and stabilize them in the same way Dalton did the first week he started. Mason Rudolph could come into Buffalo and make that a game. Because he is a veteran quarterback who will make good decisions. He won't turn the ball over, and he'll keep them competitive. But because he lost to Mason Rudolph last year, that's why he's upset. So I'm glad we got to talk about him.
You just be who you are, Eric. You be you, and don't worry about what Katie wants you to be. You be you. You're a fan.
So there is no nice dumpster fire. Like, he's going in there and like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like pizza and like pulling it out like, hey, I'm in the dumpster and I got some pizza. There is no good dumpster. It sucks. So I mean, they're in the dumpster. The team's not very good. They're probably committed, from what I was reading on Reddit about their fans, and because the fans know more than we do because they follow them every day. They're probably going to stick with Levis, and if they stick with Levis, it's done. I've seen enough of him. I just don't think he has it.
KD?
Oh man. All right. So this is where being a coach really shows, or being a uninvolved coach really shows. Because how many games has Will Levis played?
Last year and this year, I think, 7 or 8?
Right, and we're still trying to get him just to turn the ball over as in an egregious manner as he's turning it over. I'm talking about, like, the defenders don't even have to move; it's thrown right in their stomach, just right to them, and it's to the point to where it's so advantageous for the defender that they're just basically walking to the end zone. So again, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, okay, man, we sit down and we watching film week in and week out. You should be able to pick up on those things and not do them continuously, week in and week out. Because what you're doing is you're basically wasting a top 10 to 12 defense right now in Tennessee Titans. And I got it. They haven't played the meat and potatoes of their schedule. But currently, right now, just statistically speaking, they are a top 10, top 12 defense in certain categories. So if you have that and you just focus on, hey, look, not turn the ball over 3 times. Let's try to turn over 1 or less. I got it. I may jump the gun on 1 or 2 throws, but I got to sit and say to myself, take what the defense is giving me, and I got to be safe with the football. Because if I'm not, now I basically put my offense, who's already not that great anyway, I put them behind in any game because I turn the ball over in the red zone, or I turn the ball over in the plus territory, and they only have a short field. You keep doing that, NFL teams are going to capitalize. So a 3 and out, normally would be mean you're going to punt the ball, but that 3 and out, and I'm in the plus 50. Guess what? I can at least get a field goal out of that. So again, I just think Will Levis has to figure it out. Callahan has to take him somewhere and say, hey, look, man, we got to figure this out because I'm not going with Mason Rudolph. Here's the reason why I'm not going with Mason Rudolph. We had a quarterback situation with Malik Willis. We chose you. We got to stick with our guns. If not, if you don't stick with your guns, now you're going to lose your fan base. You're going to lose everybody that supports you because you're having the same issues that you had at the beginning of the season last year.
All right. And before we go on to the last one, my take is they're in the deep red. I think next week they will not be in the panic room anymore. And I don't care who you throw in there. It's not helping. They're just they should have gotten out to a 3-0 start. But Levis just kept giving the ball away. Anyway, they're in trouble, and they're at the height of their schedule now, and it's not looking good. All right, and the last one in the panic room before we go on to the room below the panic room, the New York Jets. Eric, go ahead, start us off.
Katie, sensitive Steve, we're always about hurting feelings on this chat, aren't we? So, I mean, I love you, Katie. I got nothing but positivity. I am, from an involvement stat, I'm putting the quarterback who gives me the best chance to win every week, and that's who I play, and it's 1 week at a time. So we can agree to disagree on that, but ideally the Jets. So I'm orange. Not that I don't think that they have the team or the talent to change it around, but in the same way, I was concerned about who is standing up to Allen, and when it comes to play calling, it comes to critical situations. I don't feel like there is a check on Rodgers and that he's running wild now. And that Saleh was, I think, kind of trying to be that. And I think they used him as a scapegoat. And Rodgers was like, this or that. Aaron Rodgers is not playing well. He can point out, he can blame everybody he wants. He is not playing good football. He is the concern on offense as much as anybody else on that offense is. And so I'm orange, slightly orange. Not that he can't come and rip the Steelers an asshole this week. He's certainly capable. But I'm orange because I'm greatly concerned about like the level of pushing a coach out of your way when he comes to congratulate you, the kind of the diva persona coming out. I think that can destroy that locker room real quick. And if he has a bad first half and the defense is playing really well, I think the defense could be like, they could turn on him. And so I think there's issues there. So I'm heavy orange, not red, but heavy orange.
KD.
I'm gonna go in between yellow and orange. Here's the reason why. The one thing that was keeping the Jets abreast in games, what was the defense. Now they're starting to mount up injuries, particularly in the secondary. They got a couple linebackers that are dinged up and whatnot. So if they can't play defense and they can't score, I just think they're going to be in a bad situation, especially these next 7 weeks. Because although Pittsburgh is not a high power offense, they have a great defense. So you have to be able to put up some points to win that game. Same thing with New England and I'm not New England, but Houston. You got to be able to put up points. If you're not able to put up points, I just feel you're going to put yourself in a bad situation having to rely on your defense. And then, oh, yeah, by the way, you can't even play defense anymore because you're down 2 secondary starters and you're down your main linebacker if he doesn't come back. I just don't like their current situation. If indeed Mosley is not back or you don't get those secondary guys back this week, I'll probably move into a red with the Jets.
All right. I am in orange, heading to deep red. I'm very concerned. It's just this team is a shell of themselves. They used to stop the run. They used to stop the pass. They're just it just doesn't look cohesive. And yes, it is a lot of injuries, but their offensive line, I have no idea what's going on here. And that's been the problem with the Jets for 10 years is they haven't had an offensive line. They've been terrible. And they're not getting any better. There's penalties all over the place. They cannot control themselves. They have no discipline. It's like watching the freaking Las Vegas Raiders out there. They have completely lost their minds. I understand football is an emotional game, but the Jets they got to pull their heads out of their asses. They got to do it quick. This is a bunch of games they can win. They can get right back into it. But until they have a come to Jesus meeting, they're never going to be any better. David?
I'm in yellow. I mean, look at here's just the facts. Aaron Rodgers plays better when he's comfortable. They brought DAVANTE Adams in. They have Allen Lazard. He's comfortable. He'll be comfortable. Their running game is going to be fine. Yeah, their defense is what concerns me. CJ Mosley being out. They lost Chuck Clark. He's on IR. Last night he hurt his ankle. DJ Reed. Is it DJ Reed?
Yeah, pulled groin.
Yeah, he has a groin injury, so depending on how severe that is, it might keep him out a game or two, depending on the severity of it. But again, the next two games are winnable games for them. And again, it's how quick Aaron Rodgers and DAVANTE Adams get comfortable from an offensive standpoint, because I think that will help them score touchdowns. Again, DAVANTE Adams was great in the red zone, and I think if you can spread the defense out, you can, he's got Ty Conklin, the tight end in the middle, who can do those things. So it's more about Aaron Rodgers getting comfortable. Defensively, I'm probably in the orange to the red, depending on how long and how severe the injuries are to Mosley. But overall, again, these are winnable games for the Jets, with the exception of maybe Houston. That might be a tougher one. But the other games that I look at on that schedule coming up are pretty winnable. Not that they're going to win them all. But again, I'm mildly concerned. Again, I think they pulled the trigger 1 week too late on DAVANTE Adams if he was available. I think that could have been a difference last night. So again, we'll see. But I'm mildly concerned at this point.
All right. So now we're going to go on to the next little bit of this. So, I don't even want to talk about Miami. They're fucked. Okay. Thank you.
They're a dumpster fire.
Here, this is what we're talking about. Who's ready for Cancun? So I think some teams in the panic room are going to go to the Cancun room. I think we need to change that graphic for next week. The Cancun room. And so we got the Vegas Raiders. They're done. Does anybody see any reason why their season isn't done looking at the schedule?
No. Nope.
Okay. Then also the Cleveland Browns. I don't think that needs any discussion whatsoever. The Cincinnati Bengals, this one we can talk about a little bit. I called their season done last week. Joe Burrow's putting up a lot of points, but they can't stop anyone from scoring. Is there any reason why you would think?
I don't think they're done. I think their offense is starting to click. I think Burrow's playing better. I think T. Higgins being out and then coming back. They got 2 wins in a row, if I'm not mistaken, right?
They're 2-4.
They're 2-4. So again, and depending what happens this week, if they win, they're at Cleveland, obviously. So, and if the Jets happen to beat Pittsburgh, they're only a game out of second place. So again, I'm concerned, but I don't think they're ready for Cancun yet. I mean, this is a tough division. The fact that Pittsburgh hasn't played a division opponent going into week 7 is beyond me. And until Pittsburgh has to play their division, I wouldn't put the Bengals in the panic room just yet, or in the Cancun trip just yet, because that division is far from being settled, at least in terms of second place. I think Baltimore's the class of the AFC. I think if Baltimore does everything right, I think Baltimore can go to the Super Bowl without an issue.
Bro's gonna make me have an aneurysm over here.
Go ahead, Eric.
Okay, we'll see. Like I said, if Cleveland is a tough game traditionally for them, no matter what's going on, going to Cleveland. So like they always seem to struggle with Cleveland. They're 2-4 mathematically to make noise and make the playoffs. They need to go 8-3. So the odds are not great. They're going to go 8-3. So because 10 wins gets you in, 9 wins is still 7-4 if I remember right. So 7-4, that could happen. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility they go 9-8. But if they lose to Cleveland, they're done. Finished. It's a loser leave town game. And Cleveland may be already out of town. But they have to beat Cleveland on the road. They have to beat Cleveland. Then they go Philadelphia. Maybe. We don't know what the Eagles are. Las Vegas, maybe. Baltimore, they already blew it at home. They should have won that game. And that'll come back to bite them in the ass that they couldn't snap the ball, kick a field goal. That is going to hurt them. I think the fact they can't stop anybody. We keep talking about teams, well, offense, Burrow's doing this. Teams got to stop people. Like if your defense is sucking every week, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass. You have to keep teams under 25. If you continue to let teams go under 25, you cannot count on your offense to score every week. That is not going to happen. So until they fix their defense, yeah, I'm red. They're not out of town yet. But if they blow and let Cleveland score on them this week and they lose, and they F around, they're done. They're not going to be 2-5, and they're not going to go make a run. So there is red.
I just want to say one thing, Eric. The one thing I will say, and then I'll let KD, you can have as much time as you want. When you invest all your money in your offense, you want your offense to score 25 points. And that's what I will say. And I'm not saying that you're wrong in what you're saying about stopping a team. But if you are going to invest heavily in that offense with those players, that's what you're investing in. You're investing in that 25 points. You're not investing in a 13-10 game. You're investing in a 35-31 game. So that's all I'm saying. Go ahead, Katie.
The Bengals are done. Here's the reason why. In our division, you got to be able to stop something that the other team does. You're not able to do that. It's not going to happen for you. Whether it be I stop the run good, or I control the pass, or I can pass rush, whatever it may be, you got to have some element of defense in the AFC North to either compete for it or win it. Them not being able to do that, I just don't see how they fix their issues. I just don't see it. Hopefully, this will be one of those years to where, hey, a 9-8 will get you in the playoffs in the wild card. But other than that, I do not see it. I'm all the way in the red with them. Here's the reason why. You're needing Joe Burrow to have a Herculean type of effort every week. It is not gonna happen. Everybody's not gonna give you the out routes, the yards after the catch. Everybody's not gonna give you that. Everybody's not gonna surrender 350 yards in the air. It's just not gonna happen. So until you can shape shift and win a game, giving Chase Brown 25 carries and him going for 150 and 2 touchdowns, until you can do that, I don't see them rectifying their season. Their season's pretty much done.
All right. And before I go to the last slide here, Paoli was wondering if we could talk about Sirianni yelling at the fans. I don't really think we need to. Bonehead move. And I just put up, because, Philly fans beat up Santa Claus. I mean, come on. No offense, Philly fans, but you guys fucked up.
Isn't that a yearly ritual? Don't they do that on purpose?
Who the hell beats up Santa Claus?
Philly fans.
Yeah, there you go. All right, and the last one here, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Does anyone, for any reason, believe that maybe they're not in the Cancun room, maybe they're in the London flat? I don't know, but they fucking suck.
Yep.
Does Peterson make it through the year? How about that?
I want New England to beat Jacksonville. If New England beats Jacksonville this week, Peterson's fired when he gets back to Jacksonville. That is my guarantee. That is my lock of the week. If New England beats Jacksonville, Doug Peterson is fired when they land in Jacksonville.
I don't think he even gets a plane ride back home. I think he's flying commercial. KD?
Don't be surprised if Jacksonville does beat New England. He still is fired. He still is fired.
All right. And as Annie Agar said in her little podcast, New England and Jacksonville in London is the worst thing we've done to England since the War of 1812. So, okay, we're out of the panic room.
You mean the
segment-
Revolutionary War?
Well, 1812 was after. Okay, so I'm going to apologize for this in advance. I have the rundown, and I recorded a narration just so I could take a couple minutes to compose myself here. But it turned out really low volume, so I'm going to run it, and so maybe turn up your volume a little bit. But anyway, here we go, the rundown of Week 6. NFL Week 6 rundown. The Niners beat the Seahawks 36-24. The Bears beat the Jaguars in London 35-16. Commanders lost to the Ravens 23-30. Okay, so the Commanders lost to the Ravens. Cardinals got embarrassed by the Packers. Texas beat the Patriots. Bucks crushed the Saints with a 50-burger. Browns lost to the Eagles. Colts beat the Titans. Chargers beat the Broncos. Steelers crushed the Raiders at Raiders. Falcons beat the Panthers. Lions destroyed the Cowboys. Bengals beat the Giants. And the Bills, in a very sloppy game, beat the Jets. All right. So sorry, I could realize that no one could hear a damn thing. So I'll work on that. So next week I could just do it on up. All right. So before we start the pick'ems, because we're going to discuss a couple games while we're picking, but let's take a look at what happened last week. Jeff was 12-2. David was 10-4. Eric was 10-4. KD was 12-2. I was 11-3, and Hot Pockets turned it around at 12-2. So KD, you now have a 3-game lead on me. You are kind of crushing it. I'm hoping that maybe I can grab a couple games back. I took a couple of stupid chances. 3 games I took a chance on last week, and I was wrong on all 3 of them. I should have been 14-0, but so much for spilt milk. All right, so we will keep you updated, and Eric, you got to have a couple more good weeks, man. Climb out of the end of the basement there, or else who knows? By week 8, we may put you in the Cancun room. So. Okay, so we're going to go through the pick'ems of the week. Number 1, we're going to start with David because we're just going to keep going around clockwise. Denver at New Orleans on Thursday night.
Denver, New Orleans. I really like Denver's defense. I did like Spencer Rattler. Bo Nix is coming into his own. The injury to Chris Olave. Give me Denver in a close game by a field goal, but I'm going to take Denver.
All right, Eric.
I'm going to take New Orleans.
KD.
Give me Bo Nix.
All right, I am also going Denver. The Olave thing is something, but you can't run on Denver very well, and that's the one thing I think they're going to have to rely on. All right, so now we got Sunday game, the London game. Eric, you get to start with New England at Jacksonville in London.
God, so I can guarantee you I ain't getting up in the morning to watch this one. This is a tough one, boys.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's 2 bad teams. Give me New England.
KD.
You're muted.
Hey, what game are we on? I turned it down.
Oh, New England and
Jacksonville.
Oh, Jesus. It's another tie game, man. Look, my gosh. Give me – I think give me Jacksonville. I'll take Jacksonville this week.
All right. I'm going to go with Jacksonville just because they're still in England. And, New England's got to travel there. David?
Punch me in the face, but I'm gonna follow Eric's lead. I like Drake May, and I like their New England's defense. I think they got good secondary. Travis Etienne is out, so I'm gonna take New England.
All right. that game is just such a toss-up. Like literally, you could throw a coin in every time. And so I'm Jacksonville. So we're gonna go to KD now. Seattle at Atlanta.
Give me Atlanta. They're hot right now, and the defense is playing out of their mind. And Kirk Cousins is protecting the football. So give me Atlanta.
I'm also going Atlanta. David.
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Okay. All right. So to me, Tennessee at Buffalo. I am going Buffalo.
Yep. Give me Buffalo.
Eric.
This could be a trap game because you have Seattle next week, right? I'm not going to take Tennessee, but I think it'll be close. Like I said, week 1, where it'll be close. Mason Rudolph comes in and makes it a game, but give me Buffalo.
All right, KD.
Buffalo wipes the floor with them. Give me Buffalo.
All right. So to David now. Cincinnati at Cleveland.
Cincinnati.
All right. Eric.
God. And I hope that beating didn't flow. Give me common sense that Cincinnati's going to win, but these games, common sense never, or sometimes doesn't come into play. But Cleveland's fire selling, so I mean it would be really bad if Cincinnati loses. So give me Cincy here because I think they have to win.
All right. KD. Hey, KD, can you hear me? Cincinnati at Cleveland. Who you got? Oh, boy. Well, I'm going to go Cincy just because it's ridiculous. KD, Cincinnati at Cleveland. Okay, we may.
I think he's back. He's in his car. Either that or he's getting abducted. Should we call the cops? Are you getting abducted?
Yeah, we can hear him.
Katie, can you hear me?
All right, we'll have to backtrack on KD.
All right.
Okay, so Eric, this is one game to talk about. Houston at Green Bay. So, do you have any feelings on the game, and then who are you going to pick?
I think it'll be competitive. It's probably one of the better games of the week. Won't be the game of the week. We'll get to my game of the week. I think Green Bay wins. I'm going to take them at home. Right? It's at Green Bay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think they win, and I think they're starting to figure it out. With Love, they're starting to get momentum. I like that.
All right, KD, anything yet? No. Okay, we've lost him. Yeah, this is going to be a good game. I don't think Houston has won like great games, but I mean they beat the Bills, but that was at home. I don't think they go into Green Bay and they pull it off. And Jordan Love, yes, he destroyed Arizona and it's Arizona, but I'm going to go Green Bay on that one. David.
KD, are you here? All right. This is a tough game. I know Jaden Reed got knocked out of the game last week. So if he's out of this game, it's going to be a little tougher because you're going to have Romeo Doubs and Deontay Wicks. There's just so many weapons in Houston. Mixon's back. You know what? I'm going to take Houston. It's going to be a close game, but I'm taking Houston in this game.
All right.
Katie, are you there?
Yeah, I'm back now. Who do I miss?
Okay, you missed Cincinnati at Cleveland.
Cincinnati and Cleveland. Give me Cincinnati.
All right, then. Houston and Green Bay. Did you want to talk about it at all, or do you just want to pick?
I'm gonna take Houston.
Excuse me, caller. Can you turn down your radio?
Caller, can you turn down your radio?
What?
You're getting feedback because you're coming through your Bluetooth.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. Let me turn this down. All right.
Yep. You're good. Yep.
All
All
right.
right. Well,
So yeah,
actually-
give me Houston.
okay, we're coming right back to you, KD. Miami at Indy.
KD, Miami at Indy.
Holy shucks. Give me. Is Flacco playing? If Flacco's playing, I want Indy. If Flacco's not playing, I don't want him. I'm gonna take Miami.
Richardson.
Richardson's playing.
Yep.
Give me Miami.
All right. I'm going Indy. Miami
Indy.
sucks.
Miami
and they don't have a
sucks.
quarterback as
They
usual.
don't have a quarterback as usual.
David.
I'm gonna go Miami. Excuse me.
Okay, Eric.
I love that KD. I love that KD. Thank you. I love KD loves Flacco. I love hearing that. So I'm gonna go with the Colts.
All righty. So, great. This one goes.
This one goes.
Sorry. Yeah, echo. Sorry.
This one goes to me. This is a game to discuss.
Detroit at Minnesota. Now, this is the first big matchup.
Detroit coming off of a great week at Dallas and Minnesota being undefeated.
I'm going to go Detroit in this one. I think Detroit's just the better team, even without Aiden Hutchinson.
I'm going Detroit. David?
Yeah, both these teams are really good, but I think with the injury to Hutchinson, I think this team rallies, and I think Detroit comes out and wins. It's going to be a tough, hard-fought game, but I'm taking Detroit.
All right, Eric.
I'm gonna go to Minnesota. I think
They already told you they're going 17-0.
They're going 17-0.
Hey, I gotta follow what you say. So I'm gonna go Minnesota. I think they win here.
Okay, KD.
Give me Detroit.
All right.
So then next, David, to you, Philadelphia at New York Giants.
The return of Saquon Barkley. Dang. Giants have been playing good ball, Eric. I will give that to you. I like Tracy, the running back. He's been playing good. Is Malik Neighbors? Are they expecting him back this week?
Questionable. They don't think so, but it's early. You can change your pick before Sunday.
Yeah. I'm going to take Philly and Philly because they have a full complement with A.J. Brown and DAVANTE Smith, but it's going to be a good game.
So you got Philly?
Eric, what do you got?
David, what did you pick?
Oh, I picked Philly.
Okay. Eric?
Man, I just saw the funniest meme on our site about this morning. Did you guys see that Browns and Iran fan?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Life in Iran is horrible, but being a Browns fan in Iran is the depths of hell no man should ever experience.
Oh my God.
Sorry. I got the Eagles here. I think the Giants are competitive, and I think they put up a fight, but I got Philadelphia.
All right. KD, who you got?
Malik Neighbors, Malik Yoba, Malik Williams. It don't matter. Philly by 50.
All right. So I got control of KD's mic, so I'm just going to mute him when
He's not on. All right. Eric, going to start Las Vegas at
LA Rams.
God. Philly Bowl. This will be a bad one too, right? So two teams that are just going downhill. I guess Gibby Stafford, he's probably the only player that makes a difference in this JV game this weekend.
Come on, unmute. Oh, KD, you muted yourself. You got to unmute.
You got to unmute. Who we got?
My gut is telling me to take the Raiders, and this will probably be the only game they'll win since trading DAVANTE.
All right. Did you say David Cooper Cup is going to be back this week?
I believe so.
Okay. Well, regardless if he's back or not, Vegas is just a dumpster fire. And at least Rams, they're losing, but they're putting up points. I'm going to go with the Rams at home. David?
Yeah, I got to take the Rams.
All right. So, KD, this one's to you. Carolina at Washington. Washington.
You don't even need to ask me.
All right. I'm going Washington. David?
Washington.
Washington.
Okay. And okay. So now to me, another game to talk about. I don't understand. I know it's early in the season, but they have a flex schedule, and I understand Fox not wanting to lose a great game. I, for the life of me, don't understand why Kansas City at San Francisco has not been flexed to the Sunday night game. With that being said, Kansas City at San Fran. I am going to go Kansas City in this one just because San Francisco's got some issues going on, especially with kickers and stuff. And I think Kansas City's defense is just a better D that San Francisco has shown, especially when they get their ass handed to them by the Arizona Cardinals. David.
I think a lot of it's going to depend on the ability of Jordan Mason to play. I don't know the severity of his injury. I know it was shoulder or something. But, again, Kansas City finds ways to win. And they are playing in Kansas City or San Fran?
San Fran.
Okay. They find ways to win. Juju had a pretty good game last week or the week before. Man, this is so tough. And I know Kansas City's defense is playing good, but San Fran just has weapons. They got and they're going to body Xavier Worthy off the line and make him irrelevant, even though he's fast. He can't get off the line. I'm going to go San Fran. I think Kansas City suffers their first defeat.
Eric.
I got the Niners.
KD.
I'm gonna take San Fran in this one.
All right. I'm the only one, even our fan, who's putting it in there. I'm the lone wolf with Kansas City. Ow! Okay, so then Sunday night game. New York Jets at Pittsburgh. David, start us off.
DAVANTE at Eric, your mama would like to know, when did you ever ride a horse?
When did we talk about a horse tonight?
Yeah.
I did it. If you remember, I don't remember what camp that was. Maybe that was Dick Runyon or wherever, but I hit the slowest horse, but I didn't know how to stop. So everybody be riding on the more younger horse. I had this old ass horse, but I'd pass everybody because he wouldn't stop to go look at the nature trail. So I'd end up ahead of everybody and would piss everybody off.
I thought you were in that Brokeback Mountain video for Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy.
We got jokes up top.
We got jokes. We got jokes.
Oh, back in the saddle. Hey, that's because the Steelers won, and I'm back feeling
Oh,
confident
God.
because I wasn't pouty pants this week.
You might as well jump off the saddle because I think Davante Adams pays immediate dividends and goes up against Van Jefferson-led Pittsburgh Steelers' vaunted offense, and the Jets smoke the Steelers.
Okay, you went out of turn, but thank you very much.
I know
No,
you
you didn't. You did. I'm sorry. We got distracted by Eric's thing, and I thought it was because Eric went 4-10 2 weeks ago and 10-4 this week, meaning he actually picked more winners than losers. But could be Eric. So Russell Wilson is going to start for you guys probably.
He may. That Tomlin said today that it's up for consideration and that he hadn't divvied up the it is Big and Rich, by the way, but he hasn't divvied up the snaps or who's going to take what snaps. Here's the deal: like they won 32-13, but I can see both points of this argument. He made some risky throws that he got away with. One that was called back on a weaker roughing the passer penalty, and he's put the ball at risk a little bit. So that gives Tomlin pause. Though Tomlin might be just starting Fields the entire time because he mentioned his legs as an X factor just to make the other team prepare for the other quarterback because that's what he would do. Regardless of if he's playing or not, it'll come down to the pass rush, the Jets line versus the Steelers pass rush. Alex Highsmith is back this week with T.J. Watt, and with Cam Hayward is healthy and playing really well. I have a hard time seeing the Jets being able to block. And that's the other problem is the Rodgers and I think the defense is going to get really fed up with some of his antics, of me, not we, and it comes across me when the way he talks, and so when he's not playing well and he's not taking accountability, openly taking accountability as much as he should, because his line's not playing good and he's not playing well. I quit blaming one effing play. You had 13 points the entire game, if not for a Hail Mary. So take some accountability. And no, Davante Adams hasn't played football in a month. He's not going to come in and get 300 yards or 200 yards. Football doesn't work that way. That's a Madden take. You have to get reps and get practice. The line between a practice squad player and a Pro Bowl player is very thin. And you'll find that out this weekend because he'll be effective on third down. He'll get you about 36 yards, probably 3 first downs. But that's about all you can expect out of a guy who hasn't played football in a month. Give me the Steelers 27-17.
All right, KD.
Newsflash. Steelers line doesn't block very well either. But, hey, it is what it is. You're playing against the Jets, who's discombobulated on offense. It's fine. So I'll give you another struggle win this week, Eric. So your struggle win, 16-10.
All right, and I am going to go with the Jets. I just think even though they're a mess, they can control the penalties. They should be able to pull out a win here because Pittsburgh just doesn't score. So, all right. So we got the last two coming up, and before we get to our last two games, just at the bottom, you see FTC Sports Talk Radio.etsy.com. Go and buy yourself some merchandise. Help me and the boys generate a little money here. That way we can give more away. So, okay, Eric, now you get your revenge. Baltimore at Tampa Bay.
This is the game of the week. You want a scoring game. You want two teams.
You said this shit 2 weeks in a row, bro. Stop it.
I love this game for you, Katie. And I may pick Baltimore to win because it's a coin flip of who's going to outscore it. It's two great offenses going up against two defenses that are going to give points up. So I'm not saying that the Ravens, I'm not sure who I'm going to pick. I'm going to flip a coin and go Baltimore here and go heads. Where's the game at?
Tampa Bay.
Ooh, I'll go Tampa here because it's at home. 45-42. I think both offenses, and I could be wrong, and I might be wrong. I probably will be wrong based on my picks this year. But I think go the over. Baker is hitting strides. The Ravens struggle at stopping the pass. They're 28th ranked, and as Katie mentioned on some of his posts, Mike Evans could go for 200 yards, and he might. Ideally, I think both offenses are really good. I think Lamar is going to put some points up. I think Henry and Lamar is working. I think it's opening the passing game. I think the Ravens' offense is awesome. I just think they struggle stopping the pass, and Baker's hitting strides. It's the game of the week. If you like points and you want to be entertained, this is your game.
All right, KD.
You sound like a fucking used car salesman, but okay, whatever. So we're gonna let you have it. So I don't agree with this is the game of the week. I think that would be Kansas City and the 49ers, or either Minnesota and Detroit, but whatever. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna take Baltimore because Baltimore has played Tampa before, and they kind of know what they're dealing with when you come down to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. The biggest key here is going to be yards after the catch. What do you do after they get the ball in their hands? I'm more worried about the yak coming from Godwin than Evans. So
All right. This is a tough one, but I think between Henry and Lamar it's just too much for Tampa Bay. I can't see this game going either way. This is a coin toss for me, just because Tampa Bay is looked really good, but they had the Denver Broncos at home and they couldn't do anything. And I understand Broncos are a good D, but I think Baltimore is going to find a way to pull this out. Plus, Justin Tucker has not had a great season, and he's going to rebound. He's going to have 78 field goals, and they're going to win by 2. David.
This game comes down to controlling the ball, controlling the line. As good as Baker's been, as good as Evans, Godwin have been, Sean Tucker had a breakout game last week for Tampa. But, man, when your defense can't stop the run and you got two of the best runners in football in the same backfield, and you open up those – when Zay Flowers is running routes that are open in college, when you got guys 3 and 4 yards behind them because you have to commit to stopping Lamar and Derrick Henry, it's not fair. And like I said, the only hope that Tampa has is to be able to contain Derrick Henry. If they can't contain him, this game is over early and quickly. It's not going to be a shootout. It's not going to be a track meet because contrary to the Ravens have a good secondary. Hamilton's good. They do. I mean, and yeah, do they give up points? Sure, I get it. They do. But they can cover and they can tackle. And they don't give up the yards after catch. It's catch and drop. Okay? It's not catch and run. And for that reason, I'm taking Baltimore in this game. They're too good overall.
All right. And for the last game of Week 7, this one will be streamed exclusively on ESPN Plus. If you do not have ESPN Plus, don't fucking worry about it. Because who the hell wants to watch the Chargers at Arizona? KD, who you got?
If Marvin Harrison's out, right?
Yep.
Concussion? Yeah, give me the Chargers.
Okay. Oh, man, at Arizona. Harbaugh is gonna will him to win. I'm gonna go Chargers.
David.
Man, this is tough.
Yeah.
This is a hard game because on one hand you got the Chargers who run the ball. Cardinals, if they can get on a roll, they can run the ball. Herbert has no weapons in the passing game. Man, this is tough. This is a tough game. They're playing in Arizona?
Yes.
I'm going to take Arizona at home. I think you're going to see
All right.
Coach and Michael Wilson step up.
All right.
This is funny that where ESPN Plus is like, hey, we want people to buy our subscription, and then they put up the Chargers and Cardinals. God, it's terrible. The marketing people just, God.
Well, the thing is, then I'm going to break in here for just a half a second, but like football last year, Thursday Night Football was on Amazon Prime. Like, unless you live under a rock, you already have Amazon Prime, so you didn't give a shit, So to have to buy ESPN Plus for this game,
Well, you can get it with the package with Hulu. So, I mean, there is.
Yeah, I have it, but I ain't going to watch it.
I'm not running towards. If I'm like, I don't have Hulu and I can.
Well, and the one thing you got to remember too is you got a market in Los Angeles and you got a market in Phoenix that is about, between the two of them, is roughly about 20 million people. So it's not like they're not trying to market to a large audience, because they are. They're marketing to like 20 million people to get ESPN Plus.
Yeah, but
So it's not like you're doing Cincinnati versus Cleveland where you got like 850,000.
That was the first one. Oh my God, that'd be great.
Can you imagine if that was the first one? Cincinnati,
Oh
Cleveland.
New England and Jacksonville exclusively.
Yeah, New England, Jacksonville. Yeah, it would be awesome. But yeah, I got to pick, so I'll take Arizona at home. But it just that cracks me up. If you would think they would want to draw in a big name like, hey, Tom Brady's going to be in Vegas, and come watch Brady's first game as an owner or something. But just throwing out.
So is that's all the picks, correct?
Yeah, that's all the picks. Yep.
All right. So let me ask you about this. Let me ask you guys a serious question about this whole Brady owning the Raiders. And that's cool. I mean, the Bills are going to be selling to Vince Carter, another basketball player and a soccer player, a minority stake in their team. So they're going to have some ex-Toronto Raptors owning the Bills.
And I'm not surprised by that real quick. And before you ask your question, because they want to be Canada's team, but go on.
Well, whatever. But they'll never be Canada's team because it's minority ownership and they'll never have the money to take it to Canada. So
They already are.
Oh, whatever. Whatever you think, Mr. New Jersey, goddamn friggin' landfill team, because you play like trash, so you might as well play on the landfill. But
I'm
anyway,
from New York. We do not claim Buffalo.
You're in New Jersey. It doesn't count. They're not New York. So anyway, the Tom Brady owns the Raiders, or is a minority owner of the Raiders. He works for Fox. He's not allowed into any locker rooms, not allowed into any pre-production meetings, not allowed anywhere. Should he still be a freaking announcer? It's a what you call it? It's a conflict of interest. You're talking about teams, so now he can't go on TV. He can't scrutinize referees. He can't question things. Like last night, we heard Troy Aikman talking about, I don't agree with that call. I don't agree with that call. He can't do that anymore. He's an owner of a team. You can get fined for questioning referees' calls. You can get fined for all that stuff. Should he resign from Fox and let Greg Olson go back to commentator number one, or color man number one?
No. And it's simple, because this is a genius move. Tom Brady knew he was going into broadcasting. Who the hell wants to call a Raider game? So he knows he never, for the rest of his life, has to call a Raider game for like $200 million. Genius. Absolute.
But the only access he has to any team is the Raiders. That's the only facility he can go into is the Raiders. He can't go into pre-production meetings for any team that he does. So everything he does,
Just
he has
can with the Raiders. He can go in.
Yeah. Here's the deal, Dave. He gets to do his job and do less work. He gets to show up Sunday and be like, well, legally I can't go to the meetings. legally I can't attend these things, but he still gets to call the game. And even if he calls the game and says something, Roger Goodell will never discipline him. So you can say that he can, but that dude won't do crap.
Well, here's the deal. The minute Roger Goodell doesn't do anything is the minute that any owner or executive of any team will come out and start to criticize. You got to remember, Roger Goodell might be an ass, and Roger Goodell might be an idiot, but Roger Goodell works for not the players. He works for 32 owners. So,
Right.
so if he allows Tom Brady to do it, it's going to be an issue with the 32 other NFL owners.
You know,
so
Brady's going to get an interesting perspective of who is worth signing and who isn't worth signing based on the work he does or what he's allowed to do, because he's going to get access to these guys before they're free agents, and he's going to get to know these guys, and they're going to be like, yeah.
And that's the point. That's a conflict of interest.
100%.
Yeah,
I personally didn't realize he couldn't do all those things. I thought he just couldn't do anything regarding the Raiders.
He doesn't have access to those guys. He can't. He
Yeah,
can't
he
go
can't.
into the locker room. He can't go into pre-production meetings. He can't have access to the information that analysts get on a regular basis. Like they go to the stadiums on Wednesday and do their interviews for the upcoming game on Sunday, so they get all their analyst stuff done and all that, so they can do all their stories during the game and talk about this guy doing this and da. He doesn't have access. He's not privy to that information, and that on its own, being a minority owner, should preclude him from working NFL games. It's a conflict of interest. And
I would have to agree with you in this particular instance. They should say, Tom, thank you, but no thank you. Get him out and Greg Olson come back, because honestly, I the first time I heard Tom Brady do a broadcast, I thought it was Greg Olson who just like inhaled a helium balloon. I couldn't tell the difference between the two. But anyway, I agree. I don't think he should be broadcasting anymore. If he can't do all that stuff, that's half the job.
Yep.
All right. Does anyone have anything else?
Nope.
No.
All right. Well, let's wind up the show. Thank you all for watching, and remember to like, share, notify, subscribe to all our content. Get your stuff at ftcsportstalkradio.etsy.com, and we will see you next Tuesday from the couch.
Peace.